guys, welcome back to Automation 24/7. So today we are going to discuss about a very important topic in Java, and that is getters and setters. So primarily we are going to focus on why we are going to use, or why do we rather use getters and setters, when getters and setters are required, right? So this is a very important question asked in Java, especially if you're going for Java developers or opting for automation engineer in Selenium or any automation tool using Java. So this will be asked. Okay, so in big companies where they're going to deep dive in Java, so this might be asked, and it's a very important interview question, right? So let's start. So before going to getters and setters, let us quickly understand what is encapsulation, right? So encapsulation is basically wrapping up of methods and variables in a single unit, that is also known as class, right? So encapsulation is one of the four fundamental principles of object oriented programming, along with inheritance, polymorphism and abstraction. It is a concept that promotes data hiding and bundling of data and methods that operate on that data into single unit. So it is used for data hiding. So suppose you want to hide some data, or you want to use some data like as private or some data as public. So the way you want to arrange your data, the way you want to like make them visible, right? So that is basically encapsulation. Okay, so we have this private, protected, public. Okay, and this is a very common thing that you know. Now because of encapsulation we need getters and setters, right? So what is that? So as I said, in encapsulation we have this private, protected, public. Okay, so private is basically like outside the class, it cannot be accessed. Okay, public can be accessed. So if you consider private, so if I go to private, now what happens? Getters and setters are methods used to access and modify the state of an object's private fields in Java. Okay, so let me just tell you. So this is basically a class that I have created. Okay, let me remove the private access modifier. Okay, so this is basically by default. This is basically default. Okay, no access specifier is given before the variable or the field type. So int id as well as string name can be accessed outside the class. Okay, because this is default. But as soon as I give private, okay, there will be some restriction. So to access this private values, or like to access these private members, the private functions or private methods, I can use, or like I have to use getters and setters. So let me tell you once more. So this when the variable is not private, okay, when the variable is not private, so if I'm removing this private, if I'm removing this private, okay, so if I'm removing this private, so it can be accessed outside the class. But if I'm mentioning this private also int id as private, so that cannot be accessed outside the class. So for that I need getters and setters. So that is why we need getters and setters. So in this simple way you can explain. Okay, but also it will be better if you explain code logic, and that is what I'm going to explain in this video, right? So as I am saying, getters and setters are methods. Okay, so these are methods used to access and modify the state of an object's private fields in Java. They are an important part of encapsulation. So as I said, encapsulation, before going to getters and setters, you need to understand what is encapsulation, right? So for encapsulation, especially for private variables, or rather only private fields, we use getters and setters. So a getter is a method that returns the value of a private field. It is named with the prefix get, followed by the name of the field with the first letter capitalized. Okay, the first letter always should be capitalized. For example, if the private field is named age, the getter method would be named getAge. Similarly, setters, a setter is a method, it's also a method that sets the value of a private field. It is named with the prefix set followed by the name of the field, which is first letter capitalized. For example, if the private field is named age, the setter method would be setAge, and in that setAge you will be giving the parameters. So get method, it returns some values, and in set method, basically setters, we pass the value into the function. Okay, this returns, like it gets something, it returns something, and this basically sets something, it sets some values. So both of these are used to access the private fields. See what I've mentioned here, private fields in Java, and for that you need to understand what is encapsulation, right? So the private data members, so as you can see, this is a class person. Here we have a private string name, private int age. So encapsulation begins by declaring the fields, data members of a class as private. Okay, so you declare the data members as private. Now this data is hidden from the outside access. So whenever you declare something private, so it becomes hidden, as I already showed you. Now that means that the data is hidden from outside access and can only be manipulated through methods defined in the class. Okay, so for that case we use getters and setters, right? So in this way, for private data members we use it. Now public methods, to provide control access to the private data members, you define public methods within the class. Okay, so in order to access these two methods, private string name and private int age, outside the class, we declare some public methods. Okay, and these are basically getters and setters, like getter methods and setter methods. Okay, so getter methods are used to retrieve the value of private fields. As I said, they get something. Okay, so they return something. So as you can see in this image, private string get name. Okay, so in this private string get name, we are returning name. Okay, so we are returning name. In private int get age, we are returning age. So getter methods or get methods, they return something. And setter methods are used to modify the value of private fields. So you pass the value. Okay, so private string get name, return name, we are passing string name into the setters, right? So it sets something and we get something. So in this way, in using these two methods, we can access the private members of the class. Okay, so now I'm going to explain in the code logic how things work. Okay, so as you can see, this is a class. Okay, as you can see, this is a class. So now let me just remove both of these private access modifiers. So let this be normal string ID. Okay, let this be normal string ID. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my public static void main, like in the main class. So I'm going out of class employee and just creating employee Rahul equals to new employee. Okay, so these are not private members, these are default members, so they can be accessed. Okay, so let's check that. So what I'm going to do, I am going to write rahul.id equals to say 456, rahul.name equals to my name is Rahul. So just a string I'm going to pass, right? Or you can just simply say Rahul only, doesn't matter. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to print Rahul dot ID and similarly going to print the name also, right? Okay, so if I try to run the program, so it's running. Okay, so that means what, I can access this ID and name from this class. So this class employee has something ID and name, so outside this class I can access them, rahul.id and rahul.name, which is basically whatever the values I've given in the main method, and those are getting printed. Now suppose if I declare this as private, so both of these I am declaring as private, you will see errors are showing. Okay, some errors are showing. It's saying create getter and setter. It's saying create getter and setter because I have already given the access modifier as private. Okay, so what you can do in Eclipse, you can write the getter and setter, but I will be showing you a shortcut of how to write the getter and setter method. Okay, so what you are going to do in the class employee, you are going to right click, go to source, and what are you going to do? You are going to, like you have to click on this generate getters and setters. Once you click, so it will show you have ID and name, so you want to create the getters and setters of both of these data members. Yes, you're selecting that, access modifier public, generate. So my getters and setters are generated. Okay, you can manually write, but I would prefer you to do it in this way because this is a shortcut, saves a lot of time. Because if there are 10 data members, to write the getters and setters of all these 10 data members, it will be taking huge amount of time. So better do this shortcut, right? So I have used getters and setters. So as you can see, int get ID, return get ID. So get methods are basically returning my name as well as ID. So this get ID is returning ID, this get name is returning my name, right? Now set ID is basically, in set ID I am passing this ID and it is referring to this ID only. Similarly, the same case for name also, right? Now what I am going to do, so here my errors are showing. I have used getters and setters. Now how will I access this private methods? Okay, this private, not private methods, basically this private data members, right? So how I am going to do that? So although the members are private, so I cannot access them, so I have used getters and setter methods. Now what I am going to do, in main method I am going to, not required, so I am going to comment out these lines, and what I am going to do, I am going to set name. Okay, so also I am going to comment out this line. So what I will be doing, I will be using Rahul dot set name. Okay, so in this function only I will be passing the value Rahul. So previously what I was using, excuse me, so previously I was using rahul.name equals to Rahul, and then I was printing rahul.name. So here what I'm using this set name function, which is the setter function for name. So in this setter function I am just passing the values, and I am going to use the system.out.println to just use rahul.getName. Okay, so I am setting Rahul, I should be getting Rahul, right? So let's check what it shows. So I am passing in the set name, and like in the setter method I am passing Rahul, and in the getter method I should be getting the name Rahul. Okay, so let us run this function. So it shows Rahul. So as you can see, like this way, the private access like the private data members using this get methods like getters and setters, I can access these private data members, right? So that is why we use getters and setters. So in this way you have to explain to the interviewer, and that is when the interviewer will be pleased. Okay, because computer science is basically reasoning why you are doing it. Okay, it's not just you're mugging up the definition or the like learning the code by heart. It doesn't work like that way. So you have to give the reasoning for that. Okay, similarly, if I do Rahul dot set ID 99989 and I want to print this ID, system.out.print ln. Okay, so what I have to do, I have to pass Rahul dot get ID. Okay, so I should be getting Rahul and 989. So both of these are getting printed. So this is what getters and setters, nothing more complex, right? So this is how it works, and also as I explained, encapsulation is the reason why we are using it. Okay, so hopefully I think you guys enjoyed and understood what I'm trying to say in this video. I will be coming with more such explanations and reasoning things in Java as well as in other topics, and very soon I'm going to start regarding Selenium, right? So thanks for watching, guys. Keep subscribing Automation 24/7, and please do like, comment and share the videos of Automation 24/7. Thank you. Thanks for watching.